The sun blazed, the sand shimmered, heat rose in waves, distorting the horizon. This was no ordinary desert. This was a place of ancient magic, a land forgotten by time. Here legends were born and buried beneath the dunes. The wind howled like a beast. The desert was about to awaken. Out of the swirling sand it rose, a monstrous structure, half buried by the relentless desert. This was no natural formation. This was a monument to ambition, a stage for legends. This was the arena. Built from massive blocks of sandstone, the Colosseum stood as a testament to forgotten gods and long-dead empires. The ancient game of blood and sand was about to begin. The Colosseum's northern gate groaned open, revealing a wall of muscle and steel. The gladiators of Rome marched in, their armor glinting under the harsh desert sun. Each man was a weapon, honed by countless battles and driven by an unyielding will. They moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine, each step a testament to their discipline and training. This was Rome's finest, sent to conquer or die. The arena was a crucible, and they were the steel being tested. At their head strode Aurelius, a giant of a man who seemed carved from the very stone of the Colosseum. His face, weathered and scarred, was a mask of grim determination. His eyes, the colour of cold steel, held the wisdom of countless battles and the weight of command. Aurelius carried himself with the quiet confidence of a predator, his every movement radiating an aura of power and danger. He wore the traditional armour of a Roman legionary, his breastplate adorned with the image of a snarling lion, a symbol of his own ferocity. He hefted the weight of his gladius, the short broadsword a familiar extension of his own body. This was his stage, his moment to etch his name into legend. Behind Aurelius stood his men, a legion of stone carved into human form. Each man bore the scars of past battles, a testament to their resilience and their unwavering loyalty to their leader and to Rome. They were brothers in arms, bound by honour and the shared thirst for victory.
There was Flavius, the veteran centurion, his face a roadmap of past campaigns, his one good eye burning with the fire of 1,000 battles. His hand never strayed far from the pommel of his sword, his knuckles white with anticipation. And then there was Quintus, the giant Gaul, his massive frame towering over even Aurelius.
A hush fell over the arena. Even the desert wind seemed to hold its breath. From the south, a low hum resonated, a sound ancient and powerful. The ground trembled beneath the weight of approaching gods.
The gladiators shifted uneasily, their eyes drawn to the southern gate. The gods of Egypt had arrived.
Out of the blinding light, a figure emerged. Tall and imposing, Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the underworld, stood as a harbinger of death itself. His black, polished body gleamed under the desert sun, his eyes burning with an eerie green fire.
He wore a simple loincloth, his muscular torso adorned with intricate hieroglyphs that seemed to writhe and shift like living things. In his hand, he held a long, curved staff, its top surmounted by the head of a jackal, its teeth bared in a silent snarl. His presence was suffocating, a tangible reminder of the power he wielded over life and death.
Behind Anubis, two more figures materialized from the fading light.
I am Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky.
His wings outstretched, casting a vast shadow over the arena.
The time has come for judgment.
I am Osiris, guardian of the afterlife. The battle was about to begin.
Aurelius felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon him. His men, their faces grim beneath their helmets, looked to him for guidance. The fate of Rome, it seemed, rested on his shoulders.
I must lead them, I must not falter.
Across the arena, the gods of Egypt stood motionless, their forms radiating an otherworldly power. Aurelius drew a deep breath. the dry desert air catching in his throat. The silence stretched, taut as a bowstring. The air crackled with anticipation, the very sand seeming to vibrate with the tension. Two worlds, two cultures, two destinies, poised on the brink of a cataclysmic clash. On one side stood the gladiators of Rome, their discipline and training evident in their every stance, their every breath. They were Rome's shield, her sword, her unyielding will made manifest, and facing them, the gods of Egypt. Both sides bound by duty, by honor, by destinies they could not escape. Aurelius closed his eyes, a silent prayer escaping his lips. He prayed not for victory, for he knew the folly of such requests in the face of such overwhelming odds. He prayed for strength, for courage, for the will to face whatever fate awaited him and his men.
Around him, his men murmured similar prayers.
A sudden gust of wind swept across the arena, whipping the gladiators' cloaks and stirring the sands at the feet of the gods. The last rays of the sun vanished below the horizon, plunging the arena into an eerie twilight. The time for prayers, for doubts, for second thoughts was over.
Aurelius drew his gladius, the metal ringing sharply as it cleared its scabbard. The die was cast.
The first to move was not flesh and bone, but the very earth itself. Anubis, with a flick of his staff and a guttural word in a language older than time, commanded the sand. It rose like a living creature, a wave of brown and tan teeth surging towards the Roman line.
Aurelius roared, "Shields, hold the line!"
The gladiators, their training ingrained deep, slammed their shields together, forming a wall of wood and iron against the onslaught. The sand crashed against their defenses, a deafening roar that swallowed the world for a heartbeat. The impact shook them, knocked them back a step, but the line held. The gladiators, momentarily blinded and disoriented by the sandstorm, scrambled to regain their footing. They were veterans, hardened by countless battles. But the sheer power of the gods, the raw, primal energy they wielded, was unlike anything they had ever faced.
Swooping low, his great wings buffeting the air, sending gladiators sprawling. His talons, sharp as obsidian blades, raked across shields, leaving deep gouges in wood and metal. He moved with terrifying speed, a whirlwind of feathers and fury, striking with surgical precision.
The arena had become a chaotic ballet of death, a macabre dance with the gods themselves.
Seeing his men falling back, I knew I had to act, had to draw the attention of the gods, give my men a fighting chance. The battlefield was a chaotic swirl of dust and blood, and hesitation meant death.
He roared, a sound that echoed across the arena, a challenge, a promise of defiance. It was a roar that seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth, a primal scream that demanded attention.
I charged, my gladius a beacon of silver in the swirling chaos. Each step felt like a lifetime, but my resolve was unshakable.
Anubis turned, his staff raised, a sneer twisting his canine features. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, a mix of disdain and curiosity. He met Aurelius's charge head-on. The clash was inevitable, a meeting of mortal determination and divine power. The impact shook the arena. Sand and dust erupted around them, creating a storm of chaos. The god, despite his seemingly frail frame, possessed unnatural strength. It was as if the very essence of the desert flowed through him. Aurelius felt the force travel up his arm, numbing his fingers. The pain was intense, but it only fueled his determination. He gritted his teeth, refused to yield. His spirit was unbreakable, his will as strong as the steel he wielded. He pushed back, his gladius meeting the god's staff in a shower of sparks. Each clash was a testament to his resolve. Around them, the battle raged. Warriors fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. Roman steel clashed against divine flesh. The air was thick with the sounds of combat, a symphony of war. Cries of pain mingled with the roar of the crowd, the hiss of sand, the beat of wings. It was a cacophony of chaos and struggle. Aurelius, his vision tunneling, focused on the god before him. Every other sound and sight faded into the background. He saw a flicker of surprise in those green eyes, a hint of respect, perhaps. It was a moment of connection, fleeting but profound. Or maybe it was just the reflection of the fire that burned in Aurelius's own heart. The fire of a man who refused to bow, even to a god. That fire was his true weapon, more powerful than any blade. The gladiators, inspired by their leader's defiance, rallied. They fought with a renewed ferocity, forming a wall of flesh and faith around Aurelius, holding back the tide of sand and fury.
Flavius, the old centurion, his one good eye blazing, cut down a sand scorpion with a single blow of his sword. Quintus, the giant Gaul, roared his defiance, his massive frame a bulwark against the onslaught. Even young Marius, his face now streaked with dust and blood, fought with the courage of a seasoned veteran.
They were outnumbered, outmatched, but they were Romans. They were the heirs to a legacy of courage, of discipline, of unwavering belief in the strength of their arms and the righteousness of their cause. And in that moment, in the heart of that desolate arena, they would show the gods of Egypt the true meaning of Roman steel. Aurelius and Anubis were locked in a deadly embrace, a whirlwind of bronze and bone, fury and faith. The clash of their weapons echoed through the desolate landscape, a testament to their unyielding resolve. The Roman, smaller, mortal, yet driven by a spirit that refused to break. His every move was calculated, every strike a desperate bid for survival. The jackal-headed god, ancient, powerful, yet surprised by the sheer tenacity of the human before him. Their eyes met, a silent challenge exchanged. In that brief instant, amidst the chaos and carnage, there was a strange understanding. A fleeting moment where time seemed to stand still. A recognition of kindred spirits, warriors both, bound by codes of honor that transcended the boundaries of gods and men. They were adversaries, yet in that moment, they were equals. Then, the moment passed. The desert winds howled, carrying with them the weight of destiny. Anubis snarled, baring teeth that glinted like obsidian shards. His staff swept upwards, aimed at Aurelius's exposed throat. The Roman, anticipating the move, rolled aside, the staff whistling through the space where his head had been a moment before. He scrambled back, putting distance between himself and the god. His mind raced, searching for a strategy. His chest heaved, his muscles screamed for respite. But there was no time for rest. The battle was far from over. Not while Anubis still stood, not while the fate of his men, of Rome itself, hung in the balance. The weight of his duty pressed upon him.
Is this the extent of your power, God? Is this all you offer? Sand and shadows? His voice echoed, a defiant roar against the encroaching darkness.
Anubis didn't answer with words, but with a gesture, a silent command that spoke volumes. He slammed his staff against the arena floor, the impact sending tremors through the very foundations of the Colosseum, shaking the ground beneath the feet of all who stood there. The sand swirled once more, rising up, not as a weapon this time, but as a canvas, a medium for a story that had been waiting millennia to be told. Images flickered across the surface, pyramids reaching for the heavens, pharaohs with faces of stone, gods and monsters locked in eternal struggle, each scene more vivid and detailed than the last. The history of Egypt, its power, its glory, its ancient magic, all laid bare before the eyes of the mortals who dared to challenge it, a testament to a civilization that once ruled the world. It was a display of awe-inspiring beauty, of terrifying power, a reminder of the might and majesty of the gods. Even the gladiators, their hearts hardened by countless battles, their minds focused on survival, paused, their gazes drawn to the spectacle unfolding before them, unable to tear their eyes away. Aurelius, however, felt a chill run down his spine, a sense of foreboding that he couldn't shake. This wasn't a display of power, he realized. It was a distraction, a diversion from something far more sinister, a prelude to something far more dangerous, far more terrifying, a harbinger of doom that was about to be unleashed. He turned, his gaze sweeping across the arena, searching for the threat he knew was coming, his heart pounding in his chest. And then he saw it, a shape forming in the distance. A shadow that seemed to grow darker and more menacing with each passing second, a shape forming in the heart of the swirling sand, a presence so dark, so ancient, so utterly alien that it seemed to suck the very light from the arena, casting everything into shadow. His blood ran cold, his breath catching in his throat as he realized the true extent of the danger they were in. He had faced gods before, had challenged their might, had stood against their wrath. But this was something different. Something far more ancient and malevolent. This was the stuff of nightmares, the embodiment of primal fear, a terror that had been lurking in the shadows for eons. And it was about to be unleashed, a force of darkness that would change everything.